On the bank, there's this boat turned upside down. It had been mined. Everybody got killed who was in it. I don't process it very much, but it scares me. Then as time went on, I realized I can't sleep inside anymore. That's when I never slept inside again. We had the 50s and the 20s, those two turrets. I slept between those. One night I wake up, there's a rocket coming at me, and I'm duck, and it goes by. And I still didn't go down below decks. I figured I'm better off up here than I am down there where I'll just die of a heart attack. Gary Howard. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I was a swimmer. That's what I did. I went to high school too, but I was a swimmer.
Was your family military at all?
My dad had been in the Philippines with the Army in World War II. He was a medical service officer, something like that. He had a medical group, and he was the administrative officer for him.
Did he talk much about his?
No, not much.
Okay.
I met some of his guys some days. I met some of the doctors later.
And would they talk?
No, nobody talked about it.
How did you end up in Vietnam?
Bad luck. I got orders to go to sub school, and I said, I'm not going on a submarine. I'm claustrophobic. And I was going to be drafted, so I joined the Navy. So I went to OCS. So it must have been October. They sent me orders to sub school. I said, I'm not going submarine. So that won't be a problem. No problem. So then about a month later, I got orders to go to Vietnam.
Okay, back me up just a little bit. You knew you were going to get drafted.
Yes.
Had you been going to school?
I'd finished school in, I think, December. I'd gotten out early, and I remember I went to see the registrar, and she said, "You're going to get drafted." I said, "I don't care. I want to get out of here."
You weren't enjoing school, or you were?
I hated college. I signed up for OCS, so I got accepted to OCS. First, I went out to I lived near Marietta, Georgia. Went out to the air base there. Couldn't fit in a fighter jet, so I couldn't fly planes. So then I said, well, then I'll be a sailor. So I went to OCS, and
where was that at?
Newport, Rhode Island. That was interesting. I was not very compliant with a lot of the rules, and so I got caught sleeping one time, and that was really bad during the day. That was the biggest no-no of all. I don't remember what happened. I got some sort of discipline. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, come on, big deal. I'm asleep. They didn't think so. I fly in. I'm flying into, I guess it was Providence. And I'm on the plane with a guy who'd been in the Navy a long time. So I figured he knew what was going on. So we get a taxi together. We're going to go out to the base. We show up at Newport. We're a day early. Show up, and I said, so we'll just drop our bags off. We get up, we pull up, and this nice young man says, "Excuse me, are you here for OCS?" We said, "Yes." And then he started yelling at us. And that was it. We yelled at us from then on. It was unbelievable. And it's like, these guys have been there like a week longer, a month longer than us. And they're all of a sudden the experts. They're yelling at us and telling us we're never going to survive and we're never going to make it. Things aren't all rosy out in the fleet either, they'd always say. None have never been on a ship. Things aren't all rosy out in the fleet either. That was their great expression.
How long was OCS? How long was that?
It was about 4.5 months, I think.
Did you enjoy it?
No. 22nd of November, I got out of there. I was married at the time. We drove to New York City, parked, went in to see my aunt and uncle for 30 minutes. Somebody ripped the roof, I had a convertible, tore it with a knife, stole all our clothes. Gosh. That's always great. So then I show up down in, where I went to Dam Neck, Virginia Beach for gunnery school for a month.
And what did they teach you there? What was that like?
They taught us all about naval guns, and we got to see them fire and all that stuff.
Were you on a destroyer or what?
No, I was on what's called a barrack ship. It's called the Mercer, APB 39. We had twin 40s we had quad 40s in the front and back. And then we had a bunch of 50s and 20s and that kind of stuff. And I was the gunnery officer, right? So I knew nothing about those when I went in. And I also had to do the helicopter landing. I was the guy that 24 hours a day, they'd call me and say, helicopter coming, and I had to go get, because we had these troops on board, and they were constantly going out and coming back. I had to be there for that.
What did you do for that? Was that securing the helicopter once it landed?
No, I was just in charge. That means to be in charge in the Navy means you're there to be court-martialed if something goes wrong. You don't know anything. You don't do anything. That's the way it always was. I mean, I went through my nuclear weapons plant, same thing. Was there to be court-martialed if something went wrong?
They need somebody to blame.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, I don't know if I told you this. When I was going through my training in San Diego, I was at Coronado, living in Coronado, and I'd typically walk and hitchhike and get a bus down to the base for my training, amphibious base training. And a guy named Lloyd Bucher, I don't know if you know that. Does that name ring a bell?
Mm-mm.
Lloyd Bucher was the captain of the USS Pueblo. And he had been just sitting out there in this little boat, and the North Koreans had captured them. And he'd done, I think, 10 months in North Korean prison, and then he's released, and so they're going to court-martial him. He and his lawyer are going down to the base for their part of their court-martial. They picked me up and gave me a ride down there. They're so chill, and I couldn't believe it. And later I understood. He knew what the drill was. He knew when he went in. He was there to be court-martialed. If something went wrong, he got court-martialed. It was weird. And that's what was that? So that's 57 years ago.
The gunnery. Go back to that. I bet those guns were awesome.
But they're just loud. I have hearing issues because of them. I don't have no sense of smell, that kind of thing. But they were really, we didn't have big guns. The big guns were great. They'd blow things away. When I was on a boat, we'd be going down a canal. Somebody'd pop up, fire a rocket at us. And if they got back behind the bank, we couldn't hurt them. Whereas if we'd had the 105s, we'd have just blown the bank away and gotten them. We had these 40s, and they'd make a lot of noise, and they'd probably kill somebody 10 miles away, but we never hurt anybody with them.
Right. Okay. So you finished up gunnery school. Then where did you go?
Went from gunnery school to, I went to San Diego that was amphibious base training. That's the ultimate thing. You get on a boat and you land, and it's like, I never did that. Never did it again. So most of the training did me no good at all, other than taught me, oh, that's the Navy. Yeah. It's kind of that kind of thing.
Okay. So how long you've been in at this point when you finished amphibious school?
Let's see. I'd been in, since 19 July to 23 November, 22 November. No, amphib school was later than that. Amphib school was about the end of January, I think.
So almost a year, right?
No, and I've also done small arms training. That's right. I did amphib training and small arms. So we went up to Camp Pendleton and did some small arms training.
What guns were you training on?
Mostly like 7.62s, the
M16?
M14.
Oh, M14.
The M16's a 5.56.
Yeah.
So we were doing the M14s, and I did see an M14 once later, but I did have an M16.
Did you like the M16?
I love the M16.
What did you love about it?
I had 198 rounds of ammunition on a belt around me, so I felt pretty secure.
Mm. Okay, so you finished up small arms and all that stuff, amphibious, and then
I had a couple of weeks, and we just traveled around Northern California, and then
And did you know at that point you were going to Vietnam?
Oh, I knew from about October that I was going.
And what did you think about that?
I was scared.
In what year was this now?
68, 69. I went in 69.
So Ted had already,
Ted 68 was January 68. So Ted of 69 said, I got to Vietnam the night of Tet. And everybody said, oh, this is going to be worse than last year. Nothing happened other than Americans shot at each other and everybody. I mean, it's one of those things. The Vietnamese, the Viet Cong shot their wad back in 68. But naturally, our military wasn't going to get caught twice. And so we come over. So we're coming in.
This is you flying into Vietnam.
We cross the coastline, and it's all, the country's on fire. It's on fire. It's at night. Everything's on fire. It turns out they'd just been dropping flares and shooting anything that moved for days.
Where did you fly out of when you flew to Vietnam?
We flew out of Travis Air Force Base we went to Honolulu. No, where did we go first? We didn't go to Hawaii. I don't remember where we went
Did you go up to Washington?
Yeah, that's right. We went up to Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
That went that way to Japan, and then to Vietnam. And I fell asleep in Japan. That's where I fell asleep. Did I tell you this?
No, tell me this.
So we're on a charter.
Okay. 226
seats, 4-engine jet. So I've been awake for a day and a half or something like that before I left. So I finally get to Japan. I fall asleep. I wake up, and there are no more people in uniforms like mine. There are a bunch of Air Force guys. I say, something's wrong. So I go outside, and there's this Japanese guy who doesn't speak any English. He's got this 4-engine jet. He's getting ready to let go. And that's my plane. I got and I'm signaling to him, I got to get on that plane. And he says, so I wave to the pilots, and they go, ah. So finally they say, well, there's this hatch right behind the nose gear. And they open that up, and I crawl up through there. I crawl up past the radio gear, and they open a hatch behind the cockpit. I come up, and there I am, the 225 guys. There's one empty seat for me. And they all look at me like, oh yeah, he's going to be in charge of me. He's an ensign, because I have my gold bars. I could walk down and say, hey, yeah, what am I going to do? But that was just getting there. I'm not even there yet. That was getting there.
What was the mood on the plane?
People are pretty somber. The difference between going and coming home is everything. Coming home, everybody, I don't care if you're 100 years old, everybody cheered when that plane lifts off coming out of Tan Son Nhut. And Tan Son Nhut, did you ever go to Vietnam? Tan Son Nhut had the taxiway, the main runway that had just a curved taxiway. So they'd start hitting the engines before they hit the main runway. It's going about 30 knots maybe when it hits the runway. And so everybody's just like, and boom, it gets in the air and everybody's cheering. And all these guys are so cool. All of a sudden, everybody's just cheering. Guy next to me isn't cheering. It turns out he's a courier. He's coming back. But I was just berserk when that thing took off. Like, I made it. Because you don't think you're going to, you say, I'm not scared. The thing takes off, and it's like, I made it. It's over.
Okay, so back on that plane, you're landing into Vietnam at night.
And everything's on fire.
And you're looking out the window going, this
isn't going to be good.
Wow.
And I'm going to get shot by an American because, okay, this is the other thing. So you get there, and everybody there, I don't know if you had any dealings with Intel, but Intel always was fighting the last war. They're always making up for their last problem. So this is going to be the worst. This is going to be so much worse. Last year's going to look like a picnic. This is going to be worse. So they're lecturing us, and this guy's standing up there.
Is this in the plane?
No, we're at Tan Son Nhut, some sort of Quonset hut, and it's about midnight. So this guy is he's an Air Force sergeant, one of those 100-year-old, 40-year-olds who's been everywhere. Gentlemen, the indigenous personnel they're dangerous. Every one of them dangerous. And right as he says that, there's a guy with a baggage truck. Vietnamese driving our bags. So he said, don't let any sappers touch your bags. Don't let anyone touch your bags. So there'll be sappers. They'll put bombs in your bag. I said, oh yeah, they're gone. it's over. These people don't know what they're doing. That so I've been on country like 10 minutes.
You're saying, he's saying that, and you're looking out and you're seeing
right behind him. There's a guy with a baggage.
The local guys are just delivering the bags from the plane.
Yeah. So then we're going to get on these buses, right, to go into Saigon, Tan Son Nhut, to the Annapolis BOQ. And I'm kind of one of the last people on there. These two guys, they've been in country like 2 days, and they got M16s. They get on after me. They get on facing us. They're in the well of there's not enough seats. They're in the well of the door with M16s. And we're the only possible targets they could hit. So if I get out of Saigon alive, I've got a good chance of getting home. That's how it felt.
Did they have a stern look on their face?
Well, they were scared. There's the sailors. They don't know anything about M16s. And they're scared. You can tell everybody who's got a machine gun is scared. Because they know that they can hit something if they hear it coming. But they're ready to go. Their fingers are not far off the trigger.
How long was the bus ride?
I don't remember. It seemed like an hour. It was probably like 20 minutes. Immediately, the heat was always there, and I never had anticipated how bad it would be, but it was just constant. The heat never went away. A year.
So you're thinking you're landing into hell because you see all the fire and everything set off when you were landing. You're told Tet was bad last year. It's going to be worse this year. So
I knew that was all crap. Yeah. I mean, I knew enough about the military to know that they didn't know anything. And so everything was always like that, you take everything you hear and you say, okay, that's not true. And so I figured if I can get out of Saigon, I got a good chance. So about 3 days of walking to breakfast and getting back okay, and dinner and getting back okay, I said, okay, I got a chance. So finally I got on a plane, fly from there to Canto, and get to Canto. And this is Tet now, Tet 70. No, 69, Tet 69. And there are these helicopters that have been hit that are burning at the Canto. I think they may have been Hueys. They were down at the end. But, I don't know. It wasn't terrible. There weren't any people on them. What would happen is there'd be 3 guys with a mortar. They'd set up somewhere. They'd fire 3 rounds. And they'd move again. That's the only thing that was ever bad. I remember being up on a thing and guys firing mortars and thinking, oh, my God. But the chance they'd hit me was almost nil. But so anyway, so that's what had happened. So they'd hit these planes. They're burning. So I said, the war's not over. But it's not, but I could tell it wasn't terrible. I felt safe once I got to the ship.
Okay, so you land, you go to your assignment,
Yep.
and then you get on the ship that night?
No, I didn't get there for like a day, I think. I think I was in Canto at a BOQ for about a day.
And what was the ship's name?
The Mercer, APB 39, USS Mercer.
And what kind of ship is it?
It's an old LST hull that they've turned, back in the World War II, they turned them into barrack ship. So they built big structures on them. Put about I think they had 3,000 beds. They had a ton of beds. We didn't have that many men on board, but we'd have a crew of about 100. We'd have 1,000, let's say, American or, when we had troops, we had 1,000 of Americans or Vietnamese. And we had some guns and we supposedly give them fire support. We were so slow, no use to them. So what we do, so here's how the war works. Navy's got this whole mobile Marine force. I get there are 4 barrack ships, a bunch of support ships and all stuff. And we'd go, they'd load a battalion. What's in between? It's like anyway, they'd put this big group of Army troops on. We would then have these little boats alongside. They'd get on the little boats. They'd go to the beach. They'd get picked up the helicopters. They'd go where they're going to fight, and they'd go fight. They'd get on the helicopters. They'd come back. So we had no function really.
You supplied beds for those guys? Is that what it was?
And food. And so when Nixon announced the Vietnamization of the war, we were the first people to be released. So the Mercer was one of the first ships sent home. I said, well, I'm not going to go home and come back. So I transferred to the command. So anyway, so I said, well, I'll just stay. So I stayed. I went into the command and I became the communications officer, psychological operations officer for the command. And then I wound up being, what was I? I did the, I was in charge of an advisory attack squad. I went ship, land, and then back to a boat, little boat, one of the 40-foot monitors. I was on a monitor, which is a gunboat. So I go to this group. I'm the officer in charge of this group. I knew nothing, but luckily I had 2 guys who knew things, so they kept me alive.
Describe the boat you're on.
It's a monitor. It's got I think it's twin or quad 40s forward. It's got 20. It's got raised up. It's got turrets. It's got a 20 and 2 50s, and then it's got a bunch of it's got an 81 millimeter mortar behind the forward mount, and then a bunch of just machine guns that people can use. It's 40 feet long.
40 feet long. How many guys are on it?
I think 13 crew.
And you didn't know anything about that when you went to that boat?
Oh no,
they just gave you that assignment.
Yeah, but I mean that's pretty much the way the Navy was.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was, but you know what? It was okay because I had those good guys. So I had guys who would keep, if something happened, they'd grab me and say, "Get down."
And what was the mission of that boat?
Let's see. We were assigned with the Vietnamese. At that point, we were Marines, Vietnamese Marines. And we would go down canals. I was the head of the advisory team on the boat. They would go down. They'd give fire support to Vietnamese Marines, they'd have some area there. For some reason, the Marines were disfavored in Vietnam, the Vietnamese Marines. So they get 4 Corps, which was terrible.
They got what? What did you say?
4 Corps. That's the bottom.
Okay.
And so they'd get sent someplace, and they had some fire support, they had some artillery support, and they'd go pound the jungle. And the Viet Cong realized all they got to do is sit, and somebody's going to be here soon, and we'll just be able to fire. But the Marines were pretty tough. The Vietnamese Marines were pretty tough.
You respected those guys.
Oh, yeah. My job was really to talk to helicopter people. So if we needed food or supplies or wounded, my job was to talk to people coming in helicopters, and so that if there was no American on the ground, they would not land. They wouldn't come in. You got an American pilot, and they're just not going to land if there's no American in the area. That was my real job.
And was there a landing pad on that boat?
No, not that one. But we had tango. They're called tango boats that had landing pads. I don't know. Did you ever see a tango boat? It's about 12 feet wide, about 40 feet long. And I would go, this is before I got on the boats, I would go as an advisor. I was the psychological operations officer. I'd go in these helicopters, Hueys. These pilots could land a Huey on that thing. And I'd be raising my feet as they'd come in. And they boom.
So were you flying on helicopters a lot during that period of time?
I did get to, yeah. I loved the helicopters. I wanted to fly helicopters when I came home.
After you did that, yeah.
And my ex said, nope.
So that was while you were doing psychological operations.
Yeah.
What did that consist of?
Mostly MEDCAPs, DENTCAPs. We'd take doctors and dentists out into villages, and we'd do food. I'd do some leaflet drops, where we'd say, the Viet Cong are not your friends. And I had these four.
Is that what the paper said?
Pretty much. I had these four interpreters, and we'd work them out. And they'd say basically, don't think they're your friends. They'll kill you. And nobody had any training. Remember, nobody had any training doing what we were doing. So we were just making it up as we went along, but it seemed to be good. It seemed to help.
And how often you would fly out in helicopters?
No, most of my helicopter travel was around. I had these two guys that worked for me back in probably June. They found this Boston whaler, ordered me a Johnson 75. So I had my own boat.
Wow.
It was so silly, And all you got to do is sign a piece of paper, and they give you a Johnson 75. Mine was just a Boston whaler. It was 13-footer.
And you just go tool around in that. And you were on the river?
Yeah.
The Mekong?
Yeah, and then we'd take the tributes. We'd take others. So one day, oh gosh, this is terrible. So one day I'm going to go somewhere. I don't know why. Oh, and I'd gotten some speakers delivered anyway. So I'm going to go back home, and I made a wrong turn. I'm going down this tributary. I said, oh, this doesn't look right. See what's called the French Fort. And I knew the French Fort existed, and I knew I wasn't supposed to turn around and go back. And luckily I made it home. But that's how silly I was. I didn't have any sense of danger.
And you were by yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
And did you ever have any incidents out there?
Not one.
Never.
But I had my N16 if I did.
And how were the locals?
They were very nice. They were always very nice. My brother took me back there in 2014. They're much nicer. Now they're fat, they're nice, now they kill each other in Saigon in traffic, 30 a day or something.
In traffic accidents and stuff?
Yeah, just traffic.
How many guys when you would go to the villages with doctors?
Well, we had the four interpreters, me, two docs, say a dentist, and some soldiers. We'd probably have 20 or 30 guys.
And would you get a big turnout of locals?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're just giving free medical and...
Yeah, dental. I've got pictures of me with kids. It's like I'm Santa Claus. I'm here. I'm this much taller than they are. In the pictures, you got maybe 100 kids in the picture.
Was that part of that campaign to win the hearts and minds?
That was what they called it. Yeah.
And they were pretty respectful and.
Oh yeah. And that really made a difference. They would actually tell us if something was going to happen bad, because that was the whole issue. If you didn't know it was coming. But anyway, they loved it. It was really, the doctors loved doing it. The dentists loved doing it. I don't know that they ever got to do anything like that again in their lives, where because it was basic treatment of people who'd never seen a doctor or hadn't seen one very often.
That was probably pretty fulfilling.
I think it was for them. I loved it.
And how long did you do that when you were over there?
I guess 4 months probably total. I don't know if I did more than 10 of them, but that's about it.
Okay, so let's go back to the other boat.
Monitor.
Yeah. What happened on there? Give me some of those stories.
Nothing really. We got shot at, but we're going down. And what did I do? I'd done something. And my hat fell off or something, and I got down to get it, and somebody fires a rocket. And I got out of the way. I just got down. And
You were just accidentally down when the rocket,
Yeah.
and it hit the boat?
No, it missed.
Oh, was it an RPG? Was it one of those?
It was one of those. No, I think it was a 40, B-40. But, oh, yeah. It was just stupid of me. But luckily I had these two guys who did know what they were doing, who shot. They could fire behind me. And so nobody got up and shot at me.
Was that just instant?
Those things happen just like that. You never know when it's going to happen. I remember feeling like, damn, that was stupid. Most of my things, that was my reaction was, damn, that was stupid.
What do you think is the stupidest thing you saw over there?
That I did?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing I did. Well, the stupidest thing was climbing telephone poles. So this guy, I've got one E5 who's been, he was, I think Michigan, I think he was from Lansing, Michigan. He's been going to drill, right? And he's in the only unit I ever heard of that got called up and sent to Vietnam. 30 days later, they're in Vietnam as a unit. He's in shock. So my communication team is me and him. We moved to Dongtan and we got to put in a phone system. So I said to him, okay, so we're going to have to put him in. We're going to use telephone poles. So, and they'd gotten, the gas that you put on your shoes with the spikes.
Yeah.
And a belt. So he's going to go. So he says, I've never done that before. So come on, what do you mean? So he gets up there. He's so scared, locks his knees. And I don't know if you ever heard of this. Somebody passed out. He passes out. It comes down, boom, boom. But each time each time out is longer and faster. He hits the ground. He takes the belt off. He says, I've never gotten on a pole again. So what are you talking about? He said, you can shoot me if you want to. I'm never going to climb a pole again. So I said, so I learned to climb poles. And luckily I'd seen him do it. So I knew that what you have to do is relax. You lean back and you use the gaffs to keep you on the pole. And it's nothing. Turns out it's easy. So I climbed all the poles and put in phone system.
How long did that take?
Probably a week, two, something like that.
How many poles you figure you climbed?
Oh, probably 40, 50. But it's it turns out if you just lean back against the belt, you could stay up there all day.
Right.
But I'm sure if you lock your legs, you got about 10 seconds or 20 seconds and you're coming down.
Now, didn't you say there was something with your mother during that part?
Well, my mother used apparently, when I got home, my ex told me, my wife told me she'd cry every night.
Your mom?
Yeah, and she thought, oh my God, he's going to get shot. He's on this pole. I said, there's nobody doing a mile. What's she worried about? So I lost that picture somehow. I had a picture somebody took me up on a pole, and I'd sent it back like an idiot, and she looked at it and thought I was crazy and that I was going to get killed. I'm like, what, is she nuts? I don't know, no danger. And I really wasn't in any danger on the poles other than falling or something like that.
Where you were staying, how often would it get shelled at night?
Maybe like every 4 or 5 days we'd get shelled, either in day or night. One night, near the end of the year, I remember we're playing poker. The hooch in Dongtan. It's about midnight. I've got a good hand. I still remember. I don't remember what the hand was. Like a good hand. It was so good that I knew I didn't even take a hit. We're playing like, I don't know, some draw thing. So I don't take any cards. So I know I'm going to win, right? All of a sudden, you hear the first one whistle. And I don't know if you ever in the end current place. So what happens is then one lands somewhere and then you go, uh-oh. By the time you get moving, there are others in the air and you know that. So you better get somewhere and get down. So we all run. We get to the door at the end of the hooch, get out, and we get into the bunker. Or was I going? I was going to tell. Wasn't going to tell.
Oh, you had the good hand. So.
Oh yeah. I never did get back to see the hand. It's my birthday.
So they screwed up your poker game.
Yeah. But that's the only time we ever really, I ever thought I was really going to get that it was going to be one of those where they just lob one in and I'd be running. So this one guy's out there, Tom Versinga was his name. I don't remember what he did, but he's out there running. I'm yelling, Versinga, get in here. He's running around out there. And I wasn't going to go get him, but he finally did get into the bunker.
Did anybody ever get hit on your base?
No. And I used to, the other thing that you worried about is people getting on the base with guns. I used to sleep with my M16 right by me, right by my head, in case anybody ever tried to.
Did you ever use it?
Oh yeah, but not again. I never shot anybody with it. I shot at people. Probably fired as many rounds of ammunition as anybody ever lived without hitting anything.
Tell me some of those stories. That's interesting.
No, we'd get shot at and I'd just start shooting out there.
Is this why you were on the boat?
On the boat. So I'd carry, I think I told you, I carry 198 rounds. I had 11 magazines with 18 rounds around my waist. I'd fire a whole magazine the M16 is a great gun.
How far away would they be when you're doing
I never
that?
saw anybody. I just firing.
That's kind of part of my impression of Vietnam is that a lot of times it felt like guys were fighting ghosts.
Yeah. You never saw anybody. But I never hit anything. I'm pretty sure of that. other than trees and bushes. But so you'd fire 3 or 4 magazines and say, wait a second. Then your heart would stop beating because your heart's going like 200 beats a minute.
Made good friendships over there?
Not really. I met people. I never saw them again. So I don't think I ever saw any of them again. I don't remember. I don't think I did.
What other experiences stand out in your mind over there? How often would you get mail?
Oh, we get mail regularly, like every other day, maybe. The other thing is we drink. I used to drink a lot, so we drank.
You had a happy hooch in there?
We had a bar, right next to. Once I went and put down $10 on the bar and said, buy everybody a drink because they were like $1 each. So you could buy the round. So I put my hat on. If you put your hat on, you had to buy everybody a round. Put my hat on, put money on the table. Yeah. But that was the other thing. Back then I drank like Jack Daniel's whiskey straight. And,
I know some guys talk about there was a lot of drug use on base. Did you ever see much of that?
Never saw any. I think I left right at the right time. There wasn't any. I left college right at the right time, before any drugs, and I left Vietnam right before. At least I didn't see it in the Navy. There may have been some in other services.
Did you, while you were over there, did you have a sense of what was going on in the war, or is it just?
Oh yeah,
you did. And what was your feeling about what was happening?
My feeling was we were winning there. We were losing at home. We owned the country basically at that point, but we were losing it at home. And it was pretty much, that there's nothing we could have done differently. I don't think that would have made a difference with the home front. I think people were so happy that we were losing at home. They were so. It proved that Lyndon Johnson was an idiot, and that Richard Nixon was a bigger idiot, and that that's what it seemed like, that the military was overpaid and I think the big cutbacks came right after Vietnam. So it's one of those great experiences, just like what's been going on recently here.
Food. What was the food like over there?
Terrible.
Were you guys sea rats or were you something else?
I had some sea rats. No, we also would have locally made food. Like I had people who cook these like pots of things, and we'd eat those and never knew what was in them.
Was that good?
No, but I lost a lot of weight. I went down, I think, to 180. I think I went from about 210 to 180 while I was there. But no, food was not a high point.
You take an R&R?
Yeah, I went to Hawaii in October, November, met my wife.
Met your wife. How long were you over there?
A week.
How was that?
Loved it.
And it must have been hard to go back.
Well, yeah, and we were out at Kapalua. I don't know if you've ever been there.
No, I've never been there.
Beautiful. But yeah, it was hard to go back.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
But you know what? It was better than not.
So how did you end up leaving? What's the end of that then?
Oh, at the end was something. So I'm out we were out doing something. What were we doing? Oh, we'd been out looking for a cache of weapons, and we found one that morning.
Is in a boat or on the shore?
No. We were just ferrying people. The boat is not there to fight. The boat's there to ferry people. So we get there. They find the cache weapons, and then I get a call that my grandmother was dying. I could come home on emergency leave. Thought, well, do I want to leave these? I don't want to leave these guys, And then I thought, you know what? I don't want to be that guy who got the call to go home and didn't go and got it the last week. I only had 2 weeks left to go on my tour anyway. So I then called and said, I'll go. And then I was just, let me out of here.
Then were you feeling paranoid at that point once you decided you were going to go?
Yeah, you always think about it. So I got back to the base. So I had to get to Dongtan. I got back to Dongtan to the base to get my stuff together. I'm on my way to Saigon, and I got to get my Navy record. But I went from not wanting to go home to feeling like I better get out of here. So I go to Tan Son Nhut. I'm sitting there and waiting. And finally, all of a sudden, they call the flight. It's like, my gosh, we're going to go home. And that feeling was unbelievable. And we go, line up, get up, go up the stairs. That's what I was going to say. So Tan Son Nhut, you got that curve. We go around the curve. We hit the straightaway, and everybody's cheering. I was right there with them yelling. The guy next to me is going back. He doesn't cheer, but it's just that feeling of, I made it. Yeah, I still remember that. I can still feel that feeling when that plane lifted off. When you felt the nose come up. Wow. Sorry.
Where did you fly to?
So we went to, Guam. And then we went to Honolulu. And that's when I called and said, I'll be there.
You called your folks?
Yeah.
And your wife?
Yeah.
Was that a surprise to them?
No, they knew I was coming. They thought I was coming. But they knew now they knew I was. And then I got to SFO, and that's when the girls spit it. So we landed at Travis, get a bus, land at Travis at 6 a.m., get a bus into SFO. And then I'm walking to my gate. This girl spits at me. She's a young girl, maybe 18, blonde, straggly hair, pretty, with a guy behind her. And I thought, nope, I want to get home. I mean, I'm over there, and you're spitting at me?
She just spit you right in the middle of the airport.
Yeah. Yeah, she's coming up this way. I'm going this way, and she goes,
didn't say anything.
Wow. And that's what it was like. They were just miserable pieces of crap.
It's hard for me to even fathom that, really. And I've heard so many stories out of that area of the country. Okay, so then you flew back. Where did you land when you
got to Travis?
Mm-hmm. Then you San Fran?
Took a bus to San Francisco. She spit at me, got on a plane, flew to, let's see.
And you're still in your dress.
I'm in my greens. I've got a picture. It's my.
Nobody told you to get out of them?
No. I mean, I didn't. What a jerks. God,
yeah.
Assholes. No, I didn't. But so so I got to San Francisco. I don't remember how I got back home. Then I called, and I got to Atlanta, and my picture that's my, now it's my, on my Facebook. So that's the day that I get off the plane in Atlanta. And I'm in my greens with my beret. I had a black beret. That was our hat back then. Black beret, greens. And I've got a big box with a cowboy hat that one of my brothers gave me getting off the plane.
Oh,
that's the picture. I weigh nothing at that point. I weigh like 180. And I look terribly thin. 180 doesn't sound that bad to me now. Did that then.
And how was it being home?
Unbelievable. That feeling of I made it, that I somehow, and I didn't do it. It wasn't me, that somehow I got there. And it was just like, wow, it's over. And it was a long time before I realized it was over, that I was never going to go back.
Oh, did you have a lingering fear that they would do a call back up or something?
Well, they did. They tried to get me to go back. Guy calls and says, my grandmother had just died. And says, so you're going to go back? I said, no, I'm not going back. What are you, nuts? It's like, but where are you? Where are you that you're telling me this? He's somewhere like, Virginia, and he's.
Was he mad that you rejected it, or he was
no, he was just being a jerk.
Hmm.
And I said, no, I'm not going back. So they didn't do anything about it. And at that point, I've got like 10 or 11 days. I'd gotten there. And by the time I'd gotten to my unit, I'd have turned around and come home. So it was really stupid. But that was pretty much the way the Navy was at that point. They were just that stupid about so many things.
Now, did you have to go do another 6 months?
I did 2.5 years. Went to Yorktown, Virginia, weapons station. I was a gunnery. I was in charge of a nuclear weapons rework plant. By in charge, I mean, if something went wrong, I got court-martialed.
What did you do there? What was that?
That was my job. I was in charge of this plant, and I didn't know anything. And we had three guys, and they'd work on the weapons, and then we had all these chiefs, and they're just fixing it, making sure that it was working.
But they just need somebody to blame if something goes wrong.
Well, that's the whole thing. So we got, but just me. It's chiefs. It's warrant officers. We got 40 people in the plant, in the bay rather, and 3 guys working on weapons. And so I had this old chief. This old chief's 30-year chief, right? He's about 5'3". He's drunk every morning. He comes in and he walks in and he goes, "Man, don't fuck up. You got good jobs." He'd walk through. That's what he'd say every morning. Walks through. And he got it. He understood the deal. That's his job, to tell them not to screw it and that. And it was the silliest. Honestly, if you weren't dealing with government, you had 3 guys. It cost nothing. We got the space. We got security. We got Marines. We got more Marines guarding us. And they've got M16s that are loaded everywhere you went. Sure, I'm going to get shot by one of them. We had a golf course. I mean, it was a great duty. It was 2.5 years there.
And then you got out of the Navy at that point?
Well, I got out of active duty. I went to school and had to do reserve duty. I went to law school.
And then what happened after that?
Went to practice law. I did trials in Arizona. Moved to Arizona. I moved to Phoenix, Tucson. I moved to Tucson in 1975. And stayed in Tucson only. I went to a firm, did 10 years there, and then did another. I moved to Phoenix in 1984. The firm closed in 1992.
And are these criminal, or what are they?
No, mostly civil, some criminal, but mostly just lawsuits over property and construction. It was a lot of fun, actually.
I bet you were good at it.
I think I was, yeah.
You have that little Southern drawl that makes a lawyer convincing.
Trials were fun. Jury trials. I love jury trials. I had good cases, good clients, and we won most of them. But losing them, I lost. The first case I did, I lost to this guy who didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. You think you know everything because I'd done well. I'd been first on the bar, got the high score on the bar exam. I think I'm pretty smart. Go in there and he beats me. And I hadn't done something. And I thought, damn, I better start learning how to do it.
That was a fire, lit a fire under you probably to figure out what the real game is.
Yeah. I still remember him too. But you know what? That was my fault. I should have had better sense to get more prepared. I had a boss who was a great guy. He'd been a judge, and he was. I remember when I interviewed with him, he said, "I've got about 3 more years left in me." He practiced for 20-something more years, but he was a great teacher. He would say he'd say to me, "So what are you going to do?" And he'd ask me what I was going to, ask me to kind of tell him what I was prepared to do. And then he'd say, "Okay, I think you're ready." And then I'd go. That was after the first one. First one, he just said, "No, let's see what he does."
So how many years did you practice law then?
40, I think.
You enjoyed that?
Yeah, I did. Until I did a long trial. In 1995, I did a 7-month trial. That just took it out of me. And that took all the fun out of it for me. But I had to keep doing it to make a living. We got married in the middle of that. July 15th in the middle, we took a week off. We came up here to Park City, got married.
Looking back, your time in Vietnam, what's your takeaway from all that?
It helped me become who it really, that's how I grew up. I'd have been just some sort of jack off, I think, pardon me, if I hadn't done that. I think it really changed my life.
Explain that to me.
Well, I realized that what I did made a difference. It could make a difference in other people's lives. Were they going to live or not? And that it was not just all fun and games about me. And so I think it really did a lot for me.
A lot of guys come home with PTSD. Do you feel like you have any lasting things from that?
Yeah, I have claustrophobia. Going down this canal, it's probably like only November.
What are you in?
This is on our monitor. This is on the bank. There's this boat turned upside down. It looks like a horseshoe. It had been mined, and obviously everybody got killed who was in it. So, they just gotten crushed. And this comes to you just look at it and you put all this together. And so, I see that. I don't process it very much, but it scares me. Then as time went on, I realized I can't sleep inside anymore. That's when I never slept inside again because of that. I always slept outside. I used to sleep up. Remember I told you we had the 50s and the 20, those two turrets? I slept between those. One night I wake up, there's a rocket coming at me and I duck and it goes by. And I still didn't go down below decks because, I figured I'm better off up here than I am down there where I'll just die of a heart attack. So that's what it felt like. Anytime I'd go below decks, I felt like I couldn't breathe. That night I couldn't sleep. I'd been sleeping below decks until then.
Does that ever come back to you, that same feeling?
Oh, all the time. I can still see that rocket.
Well, see, there is a little PTSD then.
I suppose. But that's not, it doesn't affect my life other than my claustrophobia and that kind of stuff. So I don't feel like it's made me unable to do anything except, sleep. Well, I guess it did affect me, but I guess it depends on how you view things. I came out of it a lot better than most people. Almost everybody I know. I don't know very many people who didn't come back and just kind of sit there and say, well, now you owe me. Everybody owes me for stuff.
It certainly there's a cost to going over there for guys, for sure.
Yeah.
And like, we talked about earlier, you don't know what your experience is going to be. Because had you gone the year before, your experience would have been a lot different. Had you been there in 68, you know what I mean? It probably wouldn't have been so, and you just don't know.
Yeah.
And your personality your personality, who you're with. And
the other difference the year before, you weren't ready for it. Nobody was saying, oh my God, everybody thought, well, we got this thing under control. And then Lyndon Johnson steps down, the end of January, Lyndon Johnson steps down. That's Tet. That's a Tet holiday. And they get just overrun places. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah, you're right. That'd have been a whole different deal.
Any other stories from patrols like that happened that stand out in your mind?
Not to come to mind right now. But it's when you're in it, it's like anything. When you're in it, it's just your day. It's just what it is. I'm sure that a lot of police officers will say that too.
Yeah.
And then suddenly something happens. And
my takeaway from all the interviews I've done is there's a serendipity to bad things happening to you. Like if you get blown up or you get shot and it was so random for most people that you couldn't worry about it.
Yeah. Nothing you could have done. And that was clear to me from very early on. There was very little I could do other than get lucky.
Now, when you first landed, you said that was when you were really nervous because you thought, because you knew the history. Yeah. And it sounds like you were following the war a little more than most people.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always followed the news more than most people.
How long were you in country before you realized, oh, it's not what I thought it was?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that it ever seemed like what I thought it was going to be. But I mean, it always seemed easier than I thought it was going to be. I was always more afraid than it turned out I needed to be. The reason I fell asleep going and didn't get on the plane, I've been awake so long because I didn't think I'd ever see my wife again. So here we are in San Francisco. We went to see Joe. No, it wasn't Joe Cocker. Who did we go see the night before? It may have been. Went to see a show.
A concert?
A concert. No, it was, I know who it was. What's his name? A blind guy sang Light My Fire. Jose Feliciano. We went to see Jose Feliciano. And we're driving around, drive out to Travis Air Force Base and spend the whole night awake. And then it was just, so I wasn't sure I was coming home. Turned out it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. A lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Had you had any friends that had gotten drafted, or did you know anybody that had gone over there?
I don't think so. John, my roommate went, but I think he went after I went. He was going to be a helicopter pilot, and he then wound up just going as a ground guy up in, I think he went to Pleiku. But I don't think I knew anybody who had gone.
World War II, you went over as a group, and you went over by boat.
Yeah.
So and then when you came home as a group.
Yeah.
You came back by boat and you decompressed.
Yeah.
And the Vietnam, for most guys, you went over
And
by yourself.
You're in SFO and some girl spits at you. Yeah. I mean, that's a big difference. No parades. No. Thank you for your service. Is something I've really had to adjust to, because I went through so many years where people spit at us, and now suddenly it's everybody's thank you for your service. It's kind of like, really? But
you haven't done honor flight, or you have?
No, I haven't. But when I worked for Southwest Airlines at Reagan Airport, and I'd see them come. I'd love seeing them get off the plane. I'm going to do one.
You got to do it.
I've asked them here.
I feel like you're welcome home. That's the best part of it. When you come home at the airport and you see everybody. Yeah. We went and filmed one, and it was when the plane got delayed. So it was like midnight or something. We're flying into Provo Airport, and there's 200 people there. Here. When
they got it back.
Yeah.
Because when I worked at Reagan, they go there. Now they go somewhere else. I think they go into Andrews or someplace like that. They'd come into Reagan. You come off the plane, and everybody just go.
Yeah. It's fun. Yeah. I feel like it's healing for a lot of guys just to get that, Yeah.
And so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, gosh, thank you for anything else you want to talk about?
I can't, that's part of the problem. I don't remember.
I feel like your memory's pretty good, honestly.
When you ask questions, I remember, but.
Well, you know names and dates and times. I got none of that. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 70.
Certain things stick with you. It's the impressions that are made real deep in your mind. I think I'm almost 80.
How old are you?
79.
79.
80.
Oh, I wouldn't guess that from looking at you.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
I feel like, the one thing I feel like military guys in general, I feel like their life is compartmentalized. The military part is compartmentalized. So it's like reminds me of someone who played football back in high school or something. They remember plays, and they remember the guys on the team, and they remember what happens. I feel like that's very drilled into everyone in the military. They're pretty good about dates and times and things that happen and people's names and stuff.
Yeah. And you're right. It is the same. It's just like that. It's like
leadership. How was leadership? Was your interaction with leaders? What was that like for you?
I had a Commodore, Carvel Blair, who'd been an oceanographer, right? That was his civilian occupation. He's been in the reserves. He's been a Navy captain. Well, the Navy doesn't have 06, 07s. They don't have brigadier generals. So they make him Commodore. So he's an 07, and he's this really, he seems like he's 100. He's probably 55, 60 or something like that. And he'd be asleep, and I'd be on watch, and I'd say, Commodore, this is watch. The Commodore's speaking. Commodore, we got blah, blah. I said, okay, what do you think you ought to do? He was a great guy, though. Again, he's an oceanographer, right? He's not some gung-ho guy. Best guy I ever worked for. Ever in my life.
On the monitor, did you have two guys stand and watch every night?
No, we had Vietnamese doing that.
Oh, they had, okay. But you felt trust of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because not everybody did over there, I'll be honest with you.
Well,
a lot of guys didn't trust the ARVNs very much.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were Navy and Marine, so I don't know if that made a difference.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it sounds like those Marine guys were kind of hardcore.
And the Navy guys, too, both of them. They were all hardcore.
How long a period were you sleeping on top of the boat?
Probably 3 months, 2-3 months.
You threw out a sleeping bag, or where'd you sleep on?
Okay. We had these tarps that were right between the guns, the gun mounts. I'd sleep on that, and I'd put up a mosquito net, and then I'd have a flashlight. Now this is the problem. I have a flashlight, so because you got to kill the mosquitoes inside the mosquito net, or they're going to kill you. They're going to eat you up. So I'd use that, and then somebody every once in a while, somebody across the way would see it, and later I'd somebody take a shot. But I'm impossible to see once the light's out. But you know what? It's better than getting bitten. The mosquitoes would eat you alive. I remember feeling like they were going to carry me away, and like my body was just covered in bites. Even with wearing, all the mosquito repellent, all that stuff, they'd still get you.
So would you juice up with repellent every day?
Every day, every night. We do it several times because I'm sweating. The heat, you're sweating it all off. and you're developing all the smells and all they love, and it's just what a mess.
Sounds awful, honestly.
It wasn't. I mean, it was awful, but it wasn't really. It's life. It was like, once that gets through your life, you can do. I don't know if you ever had that feeling. I can do anything. Keep doing what I'm doing.
Well, it sounds like you had a good attitude over there.
I had a pretty good attitude. I mean, I wasn't with anybody that didn't have a pretty good attitude.
So you worked with guys you enjoyed being around.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you were on that boat, how many Americans were on that boat versus?
There were probably like 12 of these.
Yeah.
You'd have a guy driving it. They'd have gunners. You'd have all this.
How fast could that boat get up and go?
About 5 knots. Make good.
Oh,
keep up with it walking. It's good to have. Well, we had enough guns that it was pretty good. But we did have some boats that would go like 20. Just not ours. They didn't have the guns we did.
You ever go water skiing over there?
Not on that. I had my water skiing. But did I say about my boat with the water skis?
Your little boat?
Yeah.
Could you water ski behind that?
I had skis. Well, I had the boat, and then I ordered some skis, got those, and I'd ski on the river. We were so far out, it was no problem, but it was fun.
Where did you mail ordered the skis?
I don't know how I got them. Probably. Or there must have been. I know I ordered them. They came in. It was great. So I've got my boat, skis. I was 20, 21, 22. Let's see. I was 22. Yeah.
That's fun.
It was, yeah. So there's a lot of it was really just good living. Drinks every night. Quality alcohol for $1. No, for a nickel. I'm sorry, nickel.
A lot of free time.
Yeah.
Were you ever bored stiff?
Oh, yeah. But I read a lot. Yeah, because we didn't have anything to do. I was an advisor. What was I going to do? So I was bored a lot. But clock ticking away. That was it.
Well, it sounds like you were a little bit at the life of the party over there if you had the ski boat. No?
No, I skied. I didn't take people with me.
Who was driving the boat when you were doing that?
I had 2 guys who worked for me. The guys who kept me alive, those 2 guys.
Yeah.
They drive the boat too. I'd give them the skis too.
Yeah. Did they enjoy that too?
Yeah.
What was the river like?
It's I think a mile or 2 wide. I mean, there's no current, but no waves. So the current would go like, I think 3 knots each way. During the day, it'd go up to 3 knots. So, it wasn't easy for anything to, like if anybody tried to swim at you, they'd get caught in something. So we didn't worry a lot about that. We'd still drop. They had what we call talcum powder. So we had these concussion grenades, right? We had these boats that go around and just drop them. And so I'd be on watch, say, hey, so-and-so, talcum powder, blah, blah, blah. And they'd throw them, they're constantly dropping these grenades everywhere. If someone's underwater and a grenade goes off, it'll crush their body. A couple of boats at some point got mined, and they needed to keep the swimmers away from them.
And when you say the talcum, what is that?
That was just a term for it, talcum powder.
Yeah,
throw the grenade in the water.
Oh, I bet that was kind of fun doing that.
I didn't throw them out, but it was necessary, because they were very determined. You see, their whole thing was kill Americans. They didn't care about territory. And so your job was to try not to let them win that battle. So that was our job, keeping people from getting close to us and getting close enough to take a shot or anything like that.
Yeah.
Gosh, I think back, as you ask me these questions, these things come back to me. It's like, wow, I forgot all that stuff.
Man, that was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, 50-something years.
Yeah.
I came home 50, came home almost 58 years, 57 years ago.
It's startling if you go look at footage of how young, because, you see all you guys now and you're old guys, and you look and you see the footage and you go, gosh, you guys were teenagers and just young. So crazy.
I've got a picture of me when I came home and I look like $1 million. I don't weigh anything. I've got muscles.
Well, I'm glad you made it home.
Me too. Thank you. It's good to be here. This has been fun for me. Thank you for doing
I
it.
appreciate you sharing your stories.
You're welcome.
And thank you.
You think of it?
I feel like you had a good sense of humor about the whole war.
Well, I did.
I mean, you remind me, I grew up watching MASH and I really enjoyed that show, but I feel like you had a little of that, of just the absurdity of some of the.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think the MASH people did understand that. And that's why I like MASH so much. I think they really understood.
Yeah. Well, you've lived an interesting life.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing.
Oh.
That was awesome.